all of you who have joined. We'll just start with the session very shortly. Okay. Today we are doing the last HYT for environment. Right, I would hope the people, you're making the best use of these series for faster revisions. Okay. And I've told you many times, even before also, that we have had the previous 9 HYTs. So those of you who are new, again, very quickly, most of the current topics we've covered through HYTs as well. Okay. Now for institutions and organizations, some organizations will again repeat. See, we've seen these organizations also in legislations. We've seen them also in reports. Okay, but today again a quick overview of all the important legislations along with their current updates we'll also have a look at. Okay, so that is what we want to do today. I'll start one by one, and when we end, again, some of you in the last session also asked how to go about the last, or I should say 28 or 27 days remaining. So we'll just quickly have a discussion. Here also I would want जो भी है, whosoever is online right now, whatever things we're seeing, quickly we'll try to recap. Okay, now whenever you have to do institutions, organizations and bodies, do it in two ways. One is the bodies that are in India, okay, and then we'll do the global bodies. Right, for global bodies, whatever update is there, I'll also tell you additionally, but main thing is you should know the supporting things related to these bodies. Okay, ab for the exam perspective, what we have seen overall is what you should do. For these bodies, the very first thing that you should know is the act or the ministry. Okay, in most of the cases you would also know the objective the body has. So again, I'll not spend too much of time telling you the objective right now. Okay, so we'll be very precise in how we are going to revise these bodies. Okay, and again, you can go through this very quickly, and jo bhi isme extra additions hai, that I'll tell you. Right, I'll start one by one. The Animal Welfare Board of India. Right, so main thing is, it is the Prevention to Cruelties of Animals Act 1960. Now tell me, what is the ministry here? For Animal Welfare Board of India, what is the ministry? The act is this Prevention of Cruelties to Animals Act. Okay? So sometimes you would hear about, let's say, Jallikattu. You also may hear about Kamala, which can themselves be separate questions, right? There are some animal-based sports. For example, Jallikattu being in Tamil Nadu. There is also similar sport in Kamala, and of course many times you'll see Animal Welfare Board of India talking about prevention of atrocities to these animals. Okay, yes, it is the Ministry of Fisheries, Animal Husbandry. That is the ministry here for Animal Welfare Board. That is a confusing point, right? And the name is Animal Welfare, so again it will take all these steps to ensure better and ethical treatment to the animals. So that is the main case to remember here. Rukmani Devi Arundale being a prominent personality associated with this is what we need to be aware about. Okay. Now, National Biodiversity Authority is related to which act? It is related to Biodiversity Act of 2002. Right? And we know this is the apex body for biodiversity specifically. Okay, with Biodiversity Act. So if there is any permission that is to be given to a foreign national, foreign student, foreign university, foreign company for any exploration of biodiversity from India, you have to take mandatory approval of National Biodiversity Authority. Okay, so that is there. Central Zoo Authority. In fact, these three bodies we have seen many a times. Central Zoo Authority, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, National Board for Wildlife, and National Tiger Conservation Authority. All these bodies are created by just one act. That act is Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. When I say 1972, this act has been amended many times. So there have been different amendments which have created it. But broadly speaking, yes, the parent act is Wildlife Protection Act 1972. Okay. Central Zoo Authority. So one thing, of course, important is Maintenance upkeep of zoo is Central Zoo Authority. ठीक है. Overall, to have the zoos as per the international standards around the world. ठीक है. Now talking of zoo, in our species lecture हमने एक zoo देखा है which was in news because of red panda, and that same zoo was also in news because of this snow leopard. Try to tell me what is the name of that zoo and which location. Okay, so that was a particular zoo in current, very much in news for a particular XC2 conservation of red panda and even snow leopards. It got a lot of acclaim. Okay, yes. The answer is Padmaja Naidu Zoological Park. This was in Darjeeling in West Bengal. Okay. Now, Wildlife Crime Control Bureau. First of all, this has already been awarded. Okay. So Asia Enforcement Award है UNEP का. It has already got the Asia Enforcement Award of UNEP. It has a lot of programs. We have seen that in the past also. I'll quickly help you recall. WCCB, like examples like हमने देखा Operation Soft Gold. Okay. So that is soft gold is related to, let's say, Shehtush, right? Then we have seen Operation Wild Net, okay, which is net likha hai, to think about internet. So all the illegal wildlife activities that happen on the internet, that is Operation Wild Net. Other than that, you would have also seen Operation Clean Art, that is Mongoose, okay. Other than that, again, Save Kurma for turtles. So it was Operation Save Kurma, for which it had gotten an award of UNEP, the Asia Enforcement Award. Okay, that is there. National Board for Wildlife. Again, main thing to remember here, this is the apex body for wildlife conservation in India, right? If you want to alter the boundaries of the protected areas, you need the approval of National Board for Wildlife. If a new project is to be constructed or has to happen around the vicinity of the protected areas, again, we need the permission of National Board for Wildlife. Okay, so that is done. That is again something important for us to know. Other than that, for National Board for Wildlife, we again need to remember that species recovery program. If I want to add any species, it has to be done through the National Board for Wildlife. Okay, so again, these are few things for us to know. Then you have NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority. Okay, so first thing, anything related to maintenance of tiger reserves. So again, state governments may want to declare a tiger reserve, but here also the approval of NTCA has to be there. Okay. Second, NTCA is the nodal authority for the cheetah reintroduction program, right? So you may think cheetah reintroduction program is a zoo, or maybe it is XC2. You may think Central Zoo. Nahi. The answer for cheetah reintroduction program is NTCA, National Tiger Conservation Authority. Okay. Now we come to NGT, National Green Tribunal. In NGT, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Okay. Let's say this is a National Green Tribunal. First question is, does the NGT have the power of suo motu cognizance? Does this have the power of suo motu cognizance? First question. The answer to this is yes, it has the power of suo motu cognizance. Now, the second question is, if, let's say, there is a verdict given by NGT, okay, can this verdict be appealed? First of all, is there an appeal, or is the appeal time bound? Let's say NGT has given a verdict. Can there be an appeal? First question is. And if it is yes, then what is the time duration? And to which court does the appeal lie? ये बताना है अपने को. And this is again an important question. If the NGT gives a verdict, first of all, is there an appeal? If yes, is there a time duration for that? Okay, some of you are saying 90 days, ठीक है, but which court does the appeal lie? Again, try to recall that. This is again an important thing. Okay, let me see your answers. तो अब देखो पहली चीज है yes you can appeal, the time frame is 90 days and this appeal lies with the Supreme Court. Now the question is, does the appeal lie only to the Supreme Court or can the appeal also happen to High Court? So 3 months of the verdict is yes, it is 90 days. देखो वैसे तो normally speaking yes the appeal lies directly to the Supreme Court, that is the first thing you will get to know. Okay, but again if you are being asked, so there was a particular municipal corporation of Greater Mumbai, there was a versus the Ankit Sinha something case. In that it said that even the high courts, the appeal can be there to high courts, can be there. So while normally the appeal goes to the Supreme Court, but even the high courts can entertain appeal. But this is as per the verdict of a recent court judgment, wherein वहाँ पे क्वेश्चन में पूछा ही गया था कि do or does the high court have the right or can somebody appeal to the high court with respect to a certain judgment. ठीक है, so normally this directly would apply. First of all they will have the suo motu, right, and they can also have the jurisdiction, but this does not mean that if, and again condition क्या है, 226 or 227, under article 226 even the high court can have it, but in normal circumstances the appeal goes to Supreme Court. So the exact line that was quoted was that this Supreme Court, that appeal that goes to Supreme Court does not mean that the appeal cannot go to High Court under 226. Okay, that is why I'm just explaining this to you. So there may be some articles that you read on this. So now be clear, is there suo motu cognizance? Ji haan. Can you have an appeal? Yes. Where does the appeal go? Supreme Court, 90 days. But that does not mean that we cannot file an appeal via 226, Article 226 to High Court. Okay? I hope we are clear. There are two bodies mentioned here. These two are very confusing. Okay? Central Pollution Control Board. Okay? There is Central Groundwater Authority plus there is Central Groundwater Board. Okay? Of Central Pollution Control Board, we know there is a Water Act. The Water Act is of 1974, Water Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1974. Okay? So that is one. Then you have the Central Groundwater Authority. अब Central Groundwater Authority is actually created under Environment Protection Act 1986. And there is a Central Groundwater Board, which is not under any specific act, which is under a specific ministry, which is Ministry of Jal Shakti. So wherever you are writing authority में याद रखेंगे Environment Protection Act 1986. Board में what we'll remember is this ministry, Ministry of Jal Shakti. It is again an office under Department of Water Resources, River Development, Ganga Rejuvenation under this ministry, and a particular project, National Aquifer Mapping Management Program, is related to Central Groundwater Board. ठीक है, Central Groundwater Board is what we will remember. Right? Genetic Engineering Appraisal Committee, again remember Environment Protection Act 1986. With this also remember the Cartagena Protocol of CBD. Cartagena Protocol talks to you about the LMOs and GMOs. Now also tell me how many crops or how many GM crops in India are under commercial cultivation. How many GM crops in India are under commercial cultivation? Yes, the answer to that is only one. Okay, that we are talking about. सिर्फ एक है, that is BT cotton. Other ones, be it BT brinjal, okay, or DMH 11 mustard, all these are still awaiting the final approval. So there is only one. Okay, so yes, please remember that. Then you have three bodies back to back: Forest Survey of India, Zoological, Botanical. So for Forest Survey of India, and in fact these three bodies, all these three are under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. In fact, National Biodiversity Authority, this is also under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Both of them, okay, all of them. Now headquarter wise, if you want to know, so headquarters of Forest Survey of India, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. Zoological and Botanical Survey, their headquarters are going to be in West Bengal, okay. Now Forest Survey of India, we've already covered in great detail the Indian State of Forest Report 2023, 18th edition hai uska, and that report is biennial, that is every 2 years. So 18th edition of ISFR we have done. I'm expecting most of you here in the comment section would have also seen that. Okay, so that is there for this Zoological Survey, Botanical. Just remember, it is under Ministry of Environment. These are again pre-independence, old bodies. Right now the headquarters are in West Bengal. The last one is NEERI, National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, NEERI, right? Ab NEERI will actually, so NEERI ke liye we'll remember that it works through the CSIR, right? So all the environmental updates which happen are through NEERI. Okay, some technological updates, improvements. In fact, in our lectures, we've seen examples like the green crackers through NEERI. Okay, examples like Neer Dhur, which is a multi-fuel stove, which is to prevent the problem of indoor air pollution. So, वो भी NEERI का example है, right? So that is the first overall thing for you to remember. ठीक है? So major bodies, that is what you need to know. Then when you do at the global level, there are institutions and organizations. It is better for us to do it in this format. Okay, there will be UN specialized bodies, and then there will be other bodies will also, which we'll again have a look at. ठीक है? अब जैसे कि FAO is a UN specialized body. Okay, and when you are aware, of course this is not the entire list. ये सिर्फ environment related bodies है which I have picked. So when you are revising, you have to know that UN has 6 principal organs. That is separate, and UN has specialized bodies. Now a question this year that was asked, that World Toilet Organization, okay, one of the statement was this was a UN specialized body, but in reality it was not. Okay, वो नहीं था. So from environment perspective, again if you have a tab on कि हाँ मुझे पता है what is the list and what are the major initiatives, you would be sorted. Okay, FAO and its most initiatives we have seen, right? The Food and Agriculture Organization. It again is responsible for this Codex Alimentarius Commission, which FAO plus WHO release. अब नाम क्या है? Codex Alimentarius Commission. It overall gives you the dietary standards around the world. Okay, but from the environment perspective, we have seen FAO give us Global Forest Resource Assessment. We have seen them giving the status of the world's forests, tags like Tree City of the World, okay. So again, a lot of work related to the forest and trees is what FAO keeps on doing. So that is also something we have seen. In fact, even related to soil pollution, there is something known as a Global Soil Partnership. The Global Soil Partnership is to again arrest almost 50% of the degradation on the soils. This is again by FAO. Okay, so this is also one thing we'll remember. Then you have IMO. For simple understanding, anything related to shipping and mostly decarbonization of shipping sector, we would go with IMO, International Maritime Organization. In fact, IMO was in news. Why? Because it was in fact the world's first carbon tax on shipping operations was proposed by IMO, and India supported that. Okay, so that is there. So IMO, again you may have heard about this Marpol Convention. Again, that is IMO. Many other initiatives of IMO are there. Be aware, overall broad thing is shipping related things are IMO. Okay, then you have World Bank, right? So you would have again prepared about Bretton Woods institutions. So economy wala World Bank, so of course you prepare, but for environment perspective, World Bank plays an important role, right? there is something known as the GEF, the Global Environment Facility. Usme the main trustee of that is first of all World Bank. So in many things you will see that World Bank directly being supporting financially a lot of projects. Why? Because World Bank is a trustee, right? Other than that, for example, Forest Carbon Partnership Facility. This is again World Bank Forest Carbon Partnership Facility. Okay. Similar is again there is a Biocarbon Fund. Again supported by World Bank, right? And in fact you would see कि World Bank, जैसे अगर मैं बोलूँ world's first rhino bonds, again World Bank, world's first green bonds, World Bank. So again World Bank plays an important role in this regard is what you need to know. ठीक है? Now there is WMO, World Meteorological Organization. We've already seen the important reports of WMO in the reports and indices lecture. ठीक है? But still very quickly I'll again just show a couple of updates on WMO, right? या फिर चलो I'll again repeat it when I do the individual slides. WMO में main याद रखेंगे, right? UN specialized body है, but it is famous for things like Greenhouse Gas Bulletin, State of the Global Climate Report, okay, State of the Global Climate, right? International Civil Aviation Organization. So again, this is responsible for managing the overall let's say emissions from ships, right? So in fact last year जो question आया था sustainable aviation fuel, even for the trial of SAF, this body was again taken into account. ICAO, okay, International Civil Aviation Organization. In addition to this, also remember something known as CORSIA, which is carbon offsetting reduction of the emissions from international aviation. तो aviation और emissions की अगर बात होगी, आप क्या सोचोगे? ICAO, it is a UN specialized body, okay? And the last one is UNESCO. In the protected areas in news, we've already done it. हमने देखे थे the 7 natural heritage sites. We also saw UNESCO's Man and Biosphere Reserves program, right? You also told me the culturally important, what was that, right? The Moedoms of Assam, that also we discussed. So this is how quickly from the body, what is the important thing, try to recall, okay? Now, there is also one more organization, that is International Seabed Authority, right? So why should you know about this organization? So again, when you talk about the territorial waters, you talk about, let's say, exclusive economic zone, that is up to 200 nautical miles. Within this zone, if you have important polymetallic nodules, polymetallic nodules, अगर इसी zone में है, within the EEZ, you don't have to take any permission. You can easily mine it. But if these are outside the EEZ, then you need to take the permission of a body known as International Seabed Authority, and which again is governed by UNCLOS, United Nations Convention on Laws of Sea. Okay, so keep that in mind. अलग से एक body है again for the mining part on these oceans. The permission you will get from ISA, International Seabed Authority, Seabed. Okay, now quickly I'll tell you some other initiatives that are also there. Maybe एक दो reports हैं ऐसी जो extra हैं जो आपने शायद नहीं देखी हो. Now this is UN Habitat. UN Habitat has published the World Cities Report. Okay, talking about cities and climate action. So far you have not done UN Habitat in anywhere, right? So this will be a simple one-line trivia, right? So far I told you that if you find the term climate, etc., your report is going to be related to WMO, but this is different. It is a World Cities Report published by UN Habitat. Okay, UN Habitat linked question once, of course not in the recent past, but in 2017, if you see the PYQ, a question related to UN Habitat was asked, but this is again very old. But only thing to remember here that UN Habitat has recently published the World Cities Report. That's all. Okay, now this we have already done in our reports lecture, but एक और बार देख रहे हैं United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. हमने क्या देखा था? In our lectures we had seen it publishes an important report known as World Wildlife Crime Report. Okay, And I'd also told you there is a report of sites which is very similar. What was the name of the report of sites? The name of report of sites? See, Chetan, I think you're talking about the countries that are not part of these UNCLOS. First of all, very limited countries. But in that front, there will be, of course, an issue about how all these countries can again come together and they can ultimately mine the resources in the same format. In fact, ये जो mining PMN के जो issues हैं, for example, if you see the 9-line dispute, Scarborough Shoal, Spratly Islands, all these things that are in dispute, because many countries are claiming the jurisdiction or over that area, right? I hope, are we aware about this? Scarborough Shoal, Spratly Island, Paracel Islands, right? तो वहां पे क्या हो रहा है? Competing claims हैं over the same area, which is why the same things are being disputed. This even went to a tribunal. Permanent Court of Arbitration, PCNA, gave the verdict against China's 9-line. So even the countries, of course, first thing is the countries within UNCLOS may not agree to it. They may keep on fighting. This will go to a tribunal. There will be a dispute. But the problem is implementing it is very difficult. Global arena mein, because there is no global subpower. The institutions like UN effectively have very limited power, which is why, you know, the world is always in a conflict. Okay? Yes. So sites की report जो हमने देखी थी, that was related to wildlife trade report, separate report है. अब देखते हैं next. UNODC has two things. One, annual report on World Drug Day, and second is this World Wildlife Crime Report. That is all you need to remember on UN Office on Drugs and Crime. Okay. Now, a thing has happened. In a first, India to chair, don't remember which session, but 68th session of UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs. And India is going to do this for the first time. We have already done UN Office on Drugs and Crime, right? The main cheese hai, and this is the first time India has been named to chair this important UN body. Okay, what question can be asked? So one thing is, this is established by resolution of ECOSOC, which is one of the 6 principal organs of UN. Okay, the Economic and Social Council. That is the first fact. Okay, so what is this? The UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs is a functional commission of ECOSOC, and it is the governing body of UNODC, something we just saw. So what has happened? For the first time, India has been asked to chair the session of UN Commission on Narcotic Drugs. Okay, which can be again in part. No, UNCLOS is what governs overall the whole sea. That is United Nations Convention on Laws of Sea. Dekho, law, they say on land within the borders, you know what is going to be there. Sea mein there is so many areas, right? So there is, for example, you know, there are territorial waters, there is internal waters, right? So within 12 nautical miles, okay, from that contiguous zone, exclusive economic zone, that is up to 200 nautical miles, and beyond that you have high seas, right? Which is why we have a high seas treaty, BBNJ. So everything overall is governed by the United Nations Convention on Laws of Seas. But specific to getting a permission on mining is the work of ISA, International Seabed Authority. Yes, sites ki jo similar report, that is World Wildlife Trade Report. Okay, I think Shaheen, Anamika, many of you have just mentioned that. This fact also, you may still get anything related to these development on global drugs. So again, remember what is Golden Triangle, what is Golden Crescent, directly bhi pooch sakte hain, which of the following countries are a part of that. You read that in your internal security, in your mains. Okay, so perhaps because of this, things like this can be asked, right? Can be asked to you. So both Golden Triangle and Golden Crescent, I hope most of you are aware. जिसको पता है फटाफट comment में लिखो. What is the Golden Triangle and what is the Golden Crescent? Okay. Next, again, I'll go through these bodies quickly one by one. If there is anything that you have not written yet, please add it to your notes. Most of these things we've already covered, right? Up IUCN is one. See, IUCN mein we have seen IUCN's red list of species. There is also an IUCN red list of ecosystems, right? IUCN also has a green status of species. This also we have seen. The species that are getting recovered are under the green status. IUCN also publishes something important known as the Protected Planet Report. Right? In fact, IUCN, if you remember, is also related to this global ecosystem typology, and it is a very old organization from 1948, and it supports various other initiatives. In fact, IUCN has multiple commissions. Around 6 to 7 commissions are under IUCN. Within that, the most important one is Species Survival Commission. In that, almost every species you will find. For that, a commission is there. Even for reptiles, a commission is there. For pangolins, a commission is there. For invasive species, a commission is there. Right? Yes, very good. Golden triangle, golden crescent. ठीक है, तो अगेन अब एक टॉपिक है, उससे क्या क्या सवाल पूछ सकते हैं, दैट इज व्हाट यू नीड टू नो, राइट? So that is about IUCN as an important body, right? Headquarter is in Glanz, Switzerland, right? अब है हमारा UNEP. Now, just combine whatever knowledge you have done, and I'll give you some other things related to UNEP. देखो UNEP में what have we seen? The reports of UNEP. The reports included, so again, emission gap report, production gap report, adaptation gap report. These are the same reports we have seen for UNEP, right? We also saw the state of finance for nature, the global food waste index, right? All these important reports we saw. Now, this is a PYQ that UPSC has asked. Common carbon metric. This is also related to UNEP. Common carbon metric is related to UNEP, right? What is common carbon metric? It talks to you about the carbon emissions from building operations. And UNEP also has given a global status report on buildings and construction. Okay? So first of all, common carbon metric is already a PYQ. So based on that, again, there is a report this year has been published. Now this has been published by a relatively unknown, there is this global ABC, Alliance for Building and Construction. Okay, so this is one, right? And this alliance was launched or founded way back in COP21. COP21 is when the Paris Agreement is happening. So way back 2015, right? So basic क्या बात कर रहे हैं कि these building construction accounts for nearly 21% of greenhouse gas emissions. So main thing for you to remember is these building operations are a significant factor for greenhouse gas. Okay, so keep that in mind. India is attributing 40% of its CO2 to buildings. So construction sector being a big factor for this operation. Then I think we have done many reports on UNEP. There is also one more report. The name of the report is Navigating New Horizons. So there is a name report है कि Global Foresight on Planetary Health and Human Well-being. And the report is titled Navigating New Horizons. Of course, बहुत ही obscure report है, नाम से guess करवाना बहुत मुश्किल है. But in case you are writing UNEP related developments, this is also one thing you can add. Okay? That they talk about planetary health and human well-being. Talking of planetary health, can you also tell me what is triple planetary crisis? Second thing, we've also done something known as planetary boundaries. Triple planetary crisis, what are the three things? And what are planetary boundaries? In which context have we seen them? We've already covered that. Okay? So only these are a couple of things you can add. Other things for UNEP remain the same. Glowing, gone. Other initiatives of UNEP that like we've done is what you have to remember. Okay? So ये हो गया. WMO अभी हम देख रहे थे, right? So WMO में you already remember something known as the Greenhouse Gas Bulletin. There is G3W, Global Greenhouse Gas Watch, right? You already have the other reports, right? जैसे greenhouse gas bulletin हो गया, the state of the global climate है, but also remember ozone and UV bulletin is also by WMO. Ozone and UV bulletin also by WMO. Air quality and climate bulletin also by WMO. So what you are seeing generally, if this bulletin is there, so these reports or publications are by WMO. Greenhouse gas bulletin, air quality and climate bulletin, ozone and UV bulletin. Okay, state of the world climate report. अब इसमें एक new thing I'm telling you, state of the global water resource report. Global water resource report is again by WMO. ठीक है, again global annual to decadal climate update है, but main है, हो सकता है this is one thing that you don't know, so add it. I know these parts are very factual, but again institution and bodies is again that part. For the body, what thing has happened in the recent part is that is what they'll ask you. Okay, okay, so I think people, yes, see, please remember triple planetary crisis. There are only three things. One, pollution, specifically air pollution. Second is climate change. Third is biodiversity loss. That is triple planetary crisis. Okay, yes, there are 9 planetary boundaries, 6 have been crossed, and the concept of tipping points and planetary boundaries are very similar, but tipping points और planetary में main एक difference आएगा, that planetary boundaries are very interrelated. If anything bad happens in one, all these will be impacted. Okay, so again for WMO is, this is what you have to remember. Now ISA we have done in renewable part. A couple of updates that you need to know. Number one, Armenia joins ISA as the 104th full member, right? ISA mein what we seen, this was launched in COP21 with efforts of India and France. Okay. Second thing, initially its membership was restricted, only the countries of tropics could join, but now the countries beyond tropics can also join. And right now what you see, Armenia is or has become the 104th member. When I say Armenia, you should know Armenia is bordering which sea or which body. Where is Azerbaijan? Armenia, Azerbaijan, you know, Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. So map pe bhi this becomes important to see, right? Just like we say Azerbaijan, Baku mein COP29 hua, but you should also see map wise what is that area. Even Armenia is close by, or in fact it is sharing the boundary with Azerbaijan. Okay, so that is the first update on ISA. Second thing, ISA aims to mobilize $1,000 billion. In fact, एक term use होता है towards 1,000 strategy is related to, so towards 1,000 strategy is related to ISA, International Solar Alliance. ठीक है, which will talk about mobilizing 1,000 billion, or I should say $1 trillion in solar energy by 2030. So directly this keyword can also be asked. What is towards 1,000 strategy, right? And in our renewable lecture हमने देखा था the global solar facility, the solar X startups, because that was the 7th particular congress of this ISA. ठीक है, but these two are more recent initiatives about which there has been a lot of talk. So ISA में when you are seeing this, again this you can remember Armenia, and you can also remember mobilizing $1,000 billion. I hope this is clear, right? Then I'll quickly cover some more energy related developments, and then I'll come back to that final slide once. IEA, पहला सवाल मुझे बताओ, is India a member of IEA? Is India a member of IEA? This is again sometimes people get confused. Is India a member of IEA? बताओ. Okay, Sayam is saying no. ठीक है, good. If you are aware, so if you're writing it, please write India is not a full member of this. In some news articles, you will see India is a member, but actually they are referring to just an associate member. India is not a full member of IEA. To be a member of IEA, there is a very strict condition. One should be a OECD member. When I'm writing this, India को cross कर देना. अब, what exactly are they working on? So IEA, of course, the most important thing is World Energy Outlook is reported here. There is SDG 7. 7 is clean and affordable energy. So tracking SDG 7 is again IEA. Global EV, Electric Vehicle Outlook. This is also IEA. And lastly, World Energy Employment. This is also IEA. Again, for this has been in news. Okay. So 4 major things I'm telling you for IEA. That is something that you can remember. But main thing also remember, India is not a member of IEA. India is not. Solar में अच्छा यहाँ पे I talked about the Global Solar Council or the World Solar Council. If you go back to the previous renewable energy lecture, वहाँ पे the major outcomes of the meet, one of them is this, related to ISA. We had also discussed, if you remember, one sun, one word, one grid. अगर ये नहीं याद है, the alternate name of this is Green Grids Initiative. One sun, one word, one grid. Okay, again related to ISA, International Solar Alliance. The headquarter of ISA is where? NISE. Tell me the full form of NISE. In Gurugram. I'm telling you the full, this is NISE. But what is NISE? So from the name also you can get the National Institute for Solar. Okay. Let me also see. E is efficiency, or exactly what is ESC? 1 second. हाँ sorry, E is energy है. ठीक है. NISE में National Institute of Solar Energy is where the headquarter is in Gurugram. NISE, ठीक है. National Institute for Solar Energy Gurugram is where the this, yes. Okay. IEA हो गया. जब भी IEA पढ़ो उसके साथ इसको भी पढ़ो, IRENA, इरेना. ठीक है. इरेना में renewable energy and jobs is a report. Generally what UPSC can do, IEA की reports पूछेगा, ठीक है, और नाम लिख देगा इरेना का, right? So that is what you have to prepare well, that both of them are different. IRENA में I'm only telling you this, renewable energy and jobs, right? And this is why these are very similar reports, world energy employment and renewable energy and jobs. अब यहाँ पे फोकस ही है, स्पेसिफिक फोकस इज ऑन रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी इन केस ऑफ इरेना. ओके, so this is one. IPBES is also something that you often see in your environment. कहीं ना कहीं पे पढ़ा होगा आपने नाम इसका. The question that can be asked here is again 2 or 3 fold, right? First of all, it is intergovernmental body. From the name it is clear. Now India is a founding member of this. एक fact, India is a founding member. Second, it is not a UN body, but UNEP provides secretariat services. In fact, UNEP provides secretariat services to many, let's say, conventions or institutions. So it is also sites को provide करता है UNEP. UNEP provides this again to the Bonn Convention, that is Convention on Migratory Species. I can even add Basel. I can even add Rotterdam, I can even add Vienna, Montreal, so on and so forth. There are almost 15 conventions to which UNEP provides secretariat services. So there is a huge list on this front. ठीक है, Basel है, Rotterdam, Bonn, sites, Vienna, Montreal, so on and so forth. ठीक है, so keep that also in mind. So here what we are saying, IPBES, independent, intergovernmental, not a UN body. India is a founding member. And the last is UNEP provides secretariat services here. Okay. Then you have CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. ठीक है. अब यहाँ पे क्या है? Recently CDRI marked its 5th anniversary. So because of that context, they may ask you a question. Second, India is a founding member of CDRI. Normally up CDRI you read in disaster management, okay, but with the changing nature of climate induced disasters you may also expect a question ki CDRI ke basic, when it was formed. So it was formed in the UN Climate Action Summit by India. The examiner can trick you saying ki CDRI was formed in this COP 21, 25, 27, 28. किसी भी COP में नहीं बना है. Every year, UN has a summit. Okay, this happens in New York every year. So there is a climate action summit of UN. In that, this CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, happened. Okay. Talking of disaster management, एक दो कीवर्ड अपने को पता होनी चाहिए. You may have heard about this Sendai framework. तो जैसे when you read about, let's say, development, in development what you read about? You read about MDGs. MDGs were replaced later by SDGs. The similar thing also happened with disaster management. Right now we are following the Sendai framework, okay, which talks about things like build back better. And remember, the moment I say it is a framework, this is going to be voluntary. ठीक है, ये voluntary होगा. It is not going to be mandatory, right? So please keep that in mind. Anybody can tell me which framework was replaced and then Sendai framework came into being? Which framework was replaced and then Sendai came? Sendai से पहले which was the framework? So in case you are not aware, you can also write. Just like MDG replaced by SDGs, you have a Hyogo framework followed by Sendai framework. Right now we are under this Sendai. Okay. Now I'll just go back to the last one consolidation slide. IUCN देखा हमने. We saw UNEP. Okay. Now there is Conservation International. This we have seen, and this you should recall when you do the concept of biodiversity hotspots. Criteria याद रखो. 4 out of 36 countries we remember. So one is this biodiversity hotspots. Okay. Conservation International is also important because it is also supporting something known as the Blue Carbon Initiative. Okay. Now WWF, very important report, Living Planet report. We've done it many times. 50%, or sorry, in the last 50 years, 73% of the biodiversity has been lost. Okay. That is WWF. WWF again, remember Earth R. Okay. So major things इसे याद रखेंगे. Coalition against wildlife trafficking, again a simple से coalition है, kind, right? This is for the wildlife. SAWEN is going to be intergovernmental. SAWEN is South Asian Wildlife Enforcement Network. So all the countries of South Asia are a part of this. It is intergovernmental and talks about combating wildlife crime. So if you get a statement कि India में WCCB coordinates with SAWEN, of course yes, WCCB can also coordinate with Interpol, with CAWT, with CITES. It can do so, right? The last two, IPCC, we've done many times. Remember IPCC? So you have two bodies which came up in 1988. Which are those two bodies? You have WMO plus UNEP. These two bodies separately also we have done. Okay? IPCC publishes assessment reports, the recent one being 6th. This also we have seen. We've also seen a special report on oceans and cryosphere by IPCC. And we've also seen status of the cryosphere 2024. वो report किसने publish करी है? Status of the cryosphere. Anybody can answer that? That we have seen once. Status of the cryosphere. And the last is UNFF. Here please remember, India is a founding member. All the countries of UN are a part of UNFF. Third, this was created by ECOSOC, the Economic and Social Council. So ECOSOC also created that body that we saw on drugs, and this body as well. It is not it is not 53, it is 73%. In the last 50 years has been lost. Till here, are you able to follow? तो बेसिकली कोशिश करनी है जो भी चीज़ अभी हमने करी, ट्राई टू हैव अ लिस्ट हियर, इसी को बार बार रिवाइज करो, बिकॉज द पॉइंट इज समटाइम्स इफ यू आर नॉट वेरी श्योर यू मे गेट समथिंग रॉन्ग. टुडे आई ऑल्सो एडेड अ कपल ऑफ फैक्ट्स, सम अदर अपडेट्स. ठीक है, so that is what you have to do. Right now, if there's any query, yes, that is ICCI, the International Cryosphere Climate or International Climate Cryosphere Initiative. ठीक है, sixth what नहीं, अब that is the sixth assessment report. We've seen that many times. Go back to the previous lecture in case you are not sure about it. With that said, any specific doubts that you people have? Otherwise, I'll tell you a couple of things that you should be following for now. So you are free, those of you watching this. In case somebody watches the recorded version later on also, you can again drop a simple comment in case you have any query, or if you want to bring anything to my attention. Okay, so both things. Acha, last 3 points of the body in case of, one is India is a member. All the UN states are a member of United Nations Forum on Forest, and the third is it is created by ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council. Okay. Okay, so again, I think some of you keep on asking how should your revision be now, specific to environment also and other subjects. So again, main approach what you have to follow is that you would have your basic notes, wherein when I say basic notes, be it of any coaching class, okay, any compilation, all these things I'm covering it in basic. You would have done your current affairs either through Sunya's magazine or any other source. Okay. Ab, a very important pillar of that is going to be previous year questions, right? And then in many cases you are attempting mock test, be it sectional or full length tests. Now here specifically for environment, the kind of doubts that you would have, okay, see, if you even see the paper of 2024, there are some questions, at least 3 or 4, which are very difficult. Nobody is having the knowledge to attempt them. अगर आपने याद होगा क्वेश्चन देखो, इंद्री, elk, bonobo, that kind of question, okay? Or if it is a one-liner, it is highly specific in nature, right? So when you do this part, ultimately in mocks, and when you see the PYQs, you should know which questions to skip. Plus, there are some questions that can be attempted. Many of us, the moment we see a difficult thing, we get scared, हम छोड़ देते सवाल को. ऐसे सवाल को छोड़ना नहीं है, ऐसे क्वेश्चंस को. Okay? In fact, even PFAS, okay, many of the things we had already done in our previous year's batch also. So if you just apply your mind calmly, that can be done. But yes, these are some questions are highly specific. Match the following pair. अगर नहीं सुन रखे वहाँ पे, if you sometimes take a lot of risk, you may get a lot of negatives also. So again, PYQs and mocks should help you distill this one. Second, specifically for current affairs, I have tried to make your jobs through HYTs very easy. Okay, most of the major updates that have happened throughout the year and even more, if you systematically cover the HYTs also for the people on YouTube, your job is done. For the people of Prelims Crash Course or other courses of mine, you would have done this in even more detail. So आपको basically क्या करना है, अपने notes and all these things you have to revise again and again. Okay, so that is something that can be done. Of course, if you solve 200 to 300 questions for any subject, okay, first is when you solve them, you don't have to care how many questions you will get wrong. It can be even as high as 50% questions you got wrong. कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. फिर से करो that 150. And when you master those questions again and again, so if you've mastered your PYQs, if you've mastered this, and mastery simply is not one-time reading, you see the same set of questions again and again, तो क्या होगा? You already have a lot of knowledge from here. You are complementing a lot of knowledge from here. But here you are seeing questions in a question-based format. Here you are reading a concept. Same concept is presented in a question-based format. ठीक है? So you know possible traps. Let's say you read about International Big Cat Alliance. आपने अपने notes पे पढ़ा. Question आपने यहाँ से करा. But एक ऐसा fact मिला which you could not even think. Right? So this is where, because see, environment, be it science and even economy, these are very dynamic. And for them, the more MCQs you solve, the better it is. Okay? And again, a very, let's say, good war general is who can operate on limited resources and yet can pull things off. So this part आप इसको रिवाइज करिए, but again there always will be something or new species that you would have missed out. Be okay with that. There are so many names of species, right? Or if you remember all the wildlife sanctuaries, national parks, that is a futile exercise. Point is, here your basic understanding, how you visualize the species on a map of India generally, your vegetation, distribution, this is what is more important. Okay? One more thing for PYQs and mocks, I would say, work on your thinking pattern. आप सोच कैसे रहे हो to arrive at the answer, right? We've done detailed sessions of PYQs subject wise also. तो उसमें if you are able to spend more time सोच के कि हाँ I have to answer this question, right? What am I thinking? That will go a long way, right? So I think that is there. दीपेश, हाँ बता दो बिल्कुल. Seabed पे you can ask. Other than that, I'll wish all of you all the very best for the exam. तो अच्छे से prepare करो, और again prepare your subjects well, but knowing that you will be surprised by certain sections in the exam. ठीक है, अगर आप उस mindset से जाओगे तो you'll be alert while solving and you will face some challenges, but remember everybody is going to do so. तो वहाँ पे don't let the nerves get better of you and try to keep yourself in the exam mode for the next, let's say, 25 days, right? Have simple targets. If possible, divide your day into 3 or 4 halves. Slots में खेलो. Slots में try to achieve 50, 60, 70% efficiency. It's already very warm in the north part of India. Take care of your health also. Divesh, this question is of which year specifically? Seabed पे तो I think we remember doing something also. इसमें अच्छा, in this question what is the major, let's say, issue? Anybody else who has any other question? Otherwise I'll just answer Dipesh and then we'll end it. I think this is a 2012 question, ना काफ़ी पहले का question है, and you're talking about sea buckthorn. So I think first is it helps in controlling soil erosion and in preventing desertification, which is fine. Then it is a source of biodiesel. I think that is the second. So इसमें I think one of the issue is that in fact कहीं पे अगर आप देखोगे तो even if you have these let's say the fruits or even the berries which are rich in vitamins, that can be used to create oil. I think that is the main contention which you are having. But in sometimes what UPSC has gone with, and not just this, 2014 maybe there was a question on neem, if you remember. So if something does not have an industrial application, then they don't generally take it overall to be true. So if that is the point of contention that you have, then I think that can understand. हाँ, right. तो उसमें I think UPSC did not go with 2. It is a rich source. बाकी nutritional value है, बिल्कुल सही है. और timber वाला scene है नहीं उसमें. It does not have this timber because again the timber you will expect from other. The tips on elimination of options, we also have a session tomorrow. Most of you, that there's an art of reasoning session tomorrow that is happening. You can see that. Elimination कैसे करना है कुछ है. And again for environment also in the PYQ session we've done this. तो sum क्या है और some species attribute कैसे सोचना है, all of that we can take care. ठीक है. Ideally, see, if you normally apply your mind, most of the students would have gone for this 1, 2 and 3 because 2 also can be there. ठीक है, but rich source of biodiesel में rich source means it will have a lot, but actually अभी भी it is still under exploration, which is why the answer was not that. That was the main issue I think Dipesh with this question. ठीक है. Balancing में again you have to work on both. राइट अब देखो मॉक्स और रिवीजन में मेन चीज़ है, अगर आप इफ़ यू डू मॉक्स, इफ़ यू रियलाइज योर सब्जेक्ट इज वीक and you keep on giving the mocks, then you cannot work on this. Main priority has to be, this has to be very solid. This is only for a reality check. If you already know if you've simulated the exam conditions, if you know, कोशिश करो ये चीज आप करो, and across the subjects as much as possible. Mocks, let's say right now 4 or 5 days में 5 दिन में monotony तोड़ने के लिए, maybe you sit in the morning and then you give a mock. That you can do. See, answer here is 1 and 3 according to UPSC in this question of biodiesel, this Seabed thorn. But I think main concern for the people will be that how to eliminate this part, that whether it's a rich source of biodiesel or not. So it is not just this question. There's, I think I've also told you one question on neem also, which was slightly debatable when this, because if you read, there are many articles which will support that that can be used for creation of a lot of these bioproducts. Okay? So again, I'll take your leave now. Prepare, all the very best. We come to the end of the environment HYTs, right? Wish you all the very best for the people who are preparing in. Okay? Thank you so much.